Welcome to InfoRights channel. I'm sorry, but today I'm going to get a little bit political, so excuse me from the start. I need to apologize. But it's really important to understand why the posting of workers became so controversial in the political debate over the last decade. Well, when you look at it from the perspective of the Treaty of Rome, or Treaty on Functioning of the European Union, both of them are having this provision of freedom to provide services. It seems very easy, because when you post worker in the framework of provision of services, it looks like a win-win situation. First of all, for the employer, let's look at the benefits of the service provider. If you are established in one member state, and the freedom to provide services is not only the right to deliver the service to a client which runs their activity, or who runs their activity in another member state, or who lives in another member state, but in order to deliver this service, you do not have to establish a branch, a subsidiary, any kind of representation in the receiving member state. This means that your administrative costs are as low as if you were running your business only at home. But your market expands, because you can offer your services not only in your country, but in 26 others. Now, this is quite a gain. And moreover, the treaty says that none of the other countries can put any barriers whatsoever against your enterprise that they would not put against their own enterprise. So the service must be provided on equal terms by local service providers and foreign service providers from other member states. So freedom to deliver services is not only the right to offer your services in another member state, but it's also a freedom from the obligation to establish a company in a receiving member state. So basically your market is wider and you can have more clients. Moreover, if you are a service provider from a country with low wages and low costs, and you offer your services in a country where they can pay more for the service than back home, then of course you sell your service with higher margin, and you can make bigger profits. So gain is obvious here. From the perspective of the service recipient, imagine a company, an investor who needs subcontractors to deliver particular bits of these huge investments. And you can look for your subcontractors not only in the local market, but you can look for service providers all over the European Union. And they can compete with the quality, with timeliness, and with price. Now, it opens the market for the service recipients. If you are not a construction company or a huge investor, but you are a consumer, you are a person who's looking for a serviceman, for someone who provides services, and you cannot find anyone near your house, you can look in the internet and see if there are service providers of similar service of the same kind in other member states. So if you're a service recipient, you have a larger market of service providers. So you have more service providers to choose from. And you can choose on the basis of the quality and the price, and not necessarily on the basis of nationality. So let's go to posted worker. How posted worker is winning here? Well, basically, if posted worker is being posted from a low-wage country to a high-wage country, the principle of equal pay requires to pay them the higher remuneration of the two countries. Which means that if you are posted from a low-wage country to a high-wage country, you earn higher wage than the wage that you've been earning back home. It is also questionable, because imagine a company that has two workers. One of them is being posted to deliver service, and the other one is doing exactly the same work to deliver the service back home, at home, so at a home country. And only on the basis of the fact that the place where the work is carried out is different, they will be earning different remuneration. The person who is posted will earn more money for doing exactly the same job as the person who hasn't been posted, if it's a low-wage country to high-wage country. So it is problematic when it comes to equal treatment of workers back home. But this is the rule that we've accepted in the European Union in order to prevent the so-called social dumping. Because if a person from a sending member state would be earning their remuneration and working in a high-wage country, then of course the competition will not be fair, because you could compete with lower prices of work, even lower than the lowest minimum wage in the receiving member state. Now, this is forbidden in the European Union. And if there is any great achievement of the Posting of Workers Directive, it's this, that since 1996, when the Posting of Workers Directive is in operation, it is forbidden to post workers who would earn less than the minimum wage in the receiving member state. Since the revision directive, which operates since 2020, you even have to earn the same, not the same amount, but the remuneration that is constructed in the same way as in the receiving member state. So if there are any obligatory elements of the remuneration, you also have to get them. Now, this prevents very effectively the so-called social dumping. So the worker is earning higher remuneration for doing exactly the same job as back home, just because he's doing it in another member state. So the worker is a winner here as well. Well, from the point of view of the governments of the sending member state, it is obvious. Taxes from this business, from service provider, taxes on remuneration, personal income tax of posted workers will usually go to the budget of the sending member state. So what's the benefit of the governments of the receiving member state? Well, there is in many areas a lack of skills, a lack of skilled workers who can do the job in the economies of the receiving member states. And posted workers are complementary to the local workforce, so the recipients of the services in the receiving member states have access to services that otherwise would not be possible. So for the governments of the receiving member states, it is very often that very important social problems are being solved by posted workers. They usually do the jobs that are impossible to be executed, to be done by local workforce. So it seems like it's a win-win situation, and yet for the last decade there was a lot of accusations about social dumping. Actually, social dumping, which is a false argument, was an argument that led to the revision of the rules on posting of workers since 2020. How come it is so highly political and delicate issue? Well, unfortunately, we are still inside the European Union thinking with the national categories. We are being very economically patriotic, if you want a very polite term, or xenophobic, if you want less polite term. So we did a research in 2016 on the reasons why companies and consumers would choose foreign service provider from another member state over the local service provider. And after a lot of research, we came to the conclusion that the basic reason is not in the price. They are not cheaper. And this has been confirmed also by the French study assigned by the Ministry of Treasure, French Ministry of Treasure at the time, Emmanuel Macron, who asked to analyze the cost of labor of posted workers, posted to France, and local workers. And it turned out that in all the cases, except for Romania, which was comparable to French workers, posted workers were more expensive than the local workforce. So it is not the price that determines the choice of foreign service provider over the local service provider. So what is the reason? Well, it's very simple. There are no local providers available, or there are not enough of them available. And this is when you look for service providers from other member states. So freedom to provide services allows for much better allocation of skills within the European Union, and it does so without changing the country where you work. So because you work only temporarily, only for the given service, you are not really leaving your country.